Hi. It's been a bit. hmm I'm Justine Frolker, and this is the space where we show up to talk courageous resilience in a really imperfect way, sometimes not on a set schedule, with a lot of emotions, and where I teach you the skills, tools, and language to walk out in your values, to choose curiosity and courage, and love yourself well so you can love others well. So no matter where you're watching, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or listening at a podcast player, thank you for being here. Please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss another episode. So it happens every 4 years. Every 4 years, we have an election. And every 4 years, the closer we get to that election, the tougher it is, the more divided we are, and especially social media and family discussions, friend discussions are messy and difficult and awkward and sometimes downright mean and terrible and awful. It's not new, except this year it seems a lot harsher and it feels a lot sadder. For me, it does. And yes, I don't think we can deny that the candidates have something to do with that. And the stress and overwhelm and just weary, sucky shit of 2020 have to do with that. Also, we're just super disconnected. Most of us have been at home. Most of us, when we do go out, half of our face is covered. This creates disconnection, let alone the physical distancing that we have, that we're not touching one another, sitting beside one another. We are staying apart. Yes, for safety, all of that stuff. This is not what this video is about. Here's the thing though, if you've read Braving the Wilderness, you've heard this said before. Brene says this, like, it's hard to hate people up close. We are the furthest apart than we have ever been. I don't care how often you see people on Zoom. So it feels really easy to be shitty to people, to shame, blame, judge, just try to cut them, try to convince them to your side, tell them that they are wrong. It feels easier to do that because we're disconnected. It's difficult to have tough conversations when we're sitting beside someone in physical presence and looking them in the eye, their whole face in the eye. It's difficult enough to have a courageous conversation then, let alone to be having it on social media when you post or when you comment on someone's post. There's just not a lot of courage being chosen right now. And yeah, I'm still over here believing that courage is possible. And so I guess I want to ask you some questions. What would it be like if before you posted or before you commented, you paused and you took a breath and you got your thinking brain back on track to make sure your emotions weren't just writing everything and that you're not reacting, you want to respond. And what if you kind of asked yourself questions like, is this helpful? Is this true? Is this to bring people together, to educate, things like that? Is this trying to convince someone to think like me? Is this shaming someone who thinks differently than me? Is this judgmental? Then the other side is this whole piece that when you read something or you see something that someone you love a lot or you may respect a lot and look up to post something that you didn't know or that is in very opposition of what you believe, and you feel this uproar of anger. I also want you to get curious there too. Like, what would it be like to pause, breathe, get your thinking brain back on track from all of the emotions, and ask yourself, what is this bringing up for me? What is this really about? And I had posted this on social media a couple days ago. And what would it be like for you to really ask yourself if what is really going on with you and for you when you read that about that person? What if it's grief? Underneath anger is often other emotion. The emotions that we don't love feeling, the not so fun ones. Grief, disappointment, shame, fear, loneliness, hurt. Anger secondary usually. This is outside of righteous anger, and don't get me, I mean, there is a place for righteous anger, especially right now. But the uproar of rage that we are feeling when we read something and we're just like, I can't believe that she thinks that. I can't believe he said that. There is this element of loss in that. They aren't who you thought they were. They aren't who you wanted them to be. There is loss in that. What would it be like to pause and to wrestle with that? What would it be like to then also choose curiosity to seek to understand how come they think that way and they believe that way? Now, this conversation definitely goes better if you have an actual real relationship with that person and you're not just showing up in the cheap seats of the comments. If this is a public figure, yes, their accounts are public, things like that. Again, I'm still going to go to choosing courage and wrestling out the feelings with people who you have a relationship with that is built on trust. And at the end of the day, you may never agree on certain issues. It doesn't mean we cannot love people well. It's really messy and it's really difficult. It also does not mean that we don't live our lives with boundaries. It also does not mean that the relationship doesn't change. The relationship might change a little bit because of what you have learned about your loved one or this person that you respect, because of their political views or whatever else. There's a whole lot of reacting to the stories that we are all making up about what we think about someone else's beliefs, when in reality, it is our own emotions that are rumbling up inside of us in regards to our response to them. We're not really leaning in, though, to respond. We're simply reacting because it feels easier, because right now our thresholds are freaking spent. We're tired, we're weary, we just want it to be over, we want to go back to some kind of normalcy, and so it feels easier to hurl our grief, our pain, our discomfort as anger onto other people, the people we love and lead most, or people on social media who we don't know very well. I guess what I wonder is where we go from there. How do we grow and heal and learn from one another? If we're always shutting one another down because we're reacting from our responses and not willing to get curious about what it's bringing up for us first, and then seeking to understand where someone is coming from. Because yes, it's easier to come at your throat and judge your ass because I don't like what you post. That feels easier right now. The thing is, though, it's not in alignment with who I want to be, who I was created to be, who Jesus tells me to be. I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to know how you are coping with the volatile, spewing, hatred, shaming that is happening on social media. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening. No matter where you're watching or listening, please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.